Hello and welcome to another Galactic Core profile. Today we are looking at Ar-Chitack, or Arch as he's known to his friends. Arch is an Akkadi. Akkadis are an alien race of sapient cats. They are actually larger than cats, but otherwise they appear as common house cats, any cat you see in the street. Except they're larger, and they generally walk on all fours, but they can walk on two legs and use their paws as hands. Arch is unique among them is that they do not have opposable thumbs, but Arch does, and I'll get into the reasons for that in a minute. Arch is a widower, and he is a arms dealer and sort of like a small arms manufacturer. He tinkers with weapons, new types of weaponry, and makes his own weapons. Arch he appears as a large, black, sleek furred cat with golden eyes that glow, have a slight glow to them. He generally has a tactical vest or tactical belt or both. He carries a collapsible blaster pistol that can fold out into a shoulder-mounted blaster rifle that he invented. He calls it his Arch Blaster. Arch, his personality is very snarky, sarcastic, very no nonsense, a lot like Lonnie. He's never short on insults. He's always got one up his sleeve and ready to dish them out as fast as he can. Arch was born on Mau, the planet of Mau, where the Akkadi homeworld. There he met and married another Akkadi named Nala, and they had a son named Ar, named after him. The pirates, about 10 years before the first Galactic Core book begins, the pirates firebombed Mau, and it was such devastation that it ruined the planet. So there's no more atmosphere. I mean, there's very little atmosphere, but nothing can grow there, so it's basically a waste planet. And billions of Akkadi were killed. Arch's own wife and son were killed in the blasts. He was unable to save them. He was underground, working in a mine at the time, so he escaped the devastation. The Federation sent in Armored Core troopers and relief efforts. Arch attempted to handle one of their weapons to go after the pirates, but he couldn't because he didn't have any thumbs. After that, the Tarsec Royal House sent relief to those that survived, relief money, and Arch used his relief money to get surgery and gain opposable thumbs so he could handle a weapon. He also used it to set up a shop where he sells weapons on the moon of Tapolis. And that is where we meet him in Galactic Core Book 1 and Chapter 7. There's more to that story, what happened between the firebombing of Mau and what happened between then and when he set up his shop. That is in Book 3, and I will not spoil that here. There is one spoiler about Arch in Book 1. So if you don't want that spoiled for you, then go ahead and just put this video in your watch later list and watch it after you read Book 1. Otherwise, keep going. So the idea of Arch. So I wrote this scene in this weapon shop on Tapolis, where Lonnie goes to get some shells for her singularity gun. And I wrote the scene. It has this old ancient Chinese guy, you know, like in those old 80s movies where there'd be like this old shop with this ancient Chinese looking guy with long nails. And anyway, so I had that type of character in there, and she bought the weapon, she tested it, and she said, okay, it sounds good. And the scene just kind of lacked something. It was just kind of a boring scene, and I was trying to figure out what to do. And I ran across a picture online of a sapient cat standing upright, and looked like a Rocket Raccoon type of outfit, and a really big blaster rifle leaning against his shoulder, aimed at the ground. And I thought that looked really, really cool, and that was when it triggered in my mind, like I needed to change the old Chinese guy to this sapient cat character who had a penchant for guns and liked to carry a really big gun that was impractical for him to carry. So that's where the idea for Arch came from. And as far as his personality, I didn't know who he's going to be until I typed the first words that came out of his mouth. And the first words were, actually at first it was, who's the broad Doug? You know I don't like strangers in my shop. I changed that later to, you know I don't like women in my shop because it makes more sense. Well, yeah, who's the broad Doug? Got this like, he speaks like a cross between Rocket the Raccoon and Archie Bunker. If you don't know who Archie Bunker is, type in Archie Bunker on YouTube and you'll see. Arch is so Arch doesn't have any direct inspirations. His personality is kind of its own thing. His voice is, like I said, Rocket and Archie Bunker. So here's your spoiler. So in book 1, it is alluded to several times, including the first scene where you meet him, that he can somehow transform. When they're on the dead planet, almost shipwrecked on a dead planet, they're trying to rescue Lonnie, and he mockingly yells at Doug, "Oh, what do you want me to do? Transform to a giant Hellcat?" And then when they're on the Dominator, facing that him and Lonnie are about to be executed, he actually does transform into a giant Hellcat. And I feel like the writing was a little too subtle, because some people haven't noticed that, saying, "Oh, it just came out of nowhere." Well, it didn't come out of nowhere. I hinted at it several times. I guess I'm just too subtle. Anyway, that ability, actually it was inspired by some writer friends of mine. So shout out to my writing group, keyboard tappers. But that ability kind of, Outlaw Star has a lot of influence on this series. Outlaw Star has a character named Aisha, and she is a cat girl. So she's like this, I don't know, she's comedy relief. I didn't really like her character. But one of the cool things she could do was she could transform into a giant cat. I thought that was a cool ability. Not that I want to take that from that, but I just thought it was a cool ability. And then my writer friend suggested something to the effect, and then I thought that would be really awesome. So I went ahead and did that, and I gave him that ability to transform into this giant cat who's almost impervious to blaster fire. So that's kind of an inspiration, Aisha. I knew I wanted to have some kind of cat character. I'm not sure why or where that came from, but I just kind of wanted to have that. But I didn't really commit to it at all until I saw that picture of that sapient cat with a giant gun, and I thought, that's who I want. That's what this scene is missing. This book is missing. And he's a good counterweight to both Lonnie and Doug. The great thing about Arch is that he has such potential for growth, and even over the 3 books, you see him grow and change. And Doug is a flat arc character, so he doesn't change. He changes those around him, and he definitely has an impact on Arch. Lonnie does go through some changes. She grows and changes as a character. But Arch, I think, has probably the most growth and change out of all 3 of them, the main characters, in the first 3 books. And it's just been a joy to watch him grow. So I think once I started writing him, what I wanted for the character was just someone who was just no nonsense comedy relief, but not in a comedy relief type of character that was just stupid and had no value to the other characters. I don't like those types of characters. I find them one-dimensional and boring and useless, frankly. I think that comedy relief should be coupled with good characterization, depth of character. I feel that's my opinion. I don't want to knock anybody who does it differently, but that's just the way I like to write. So with Arch, I wanted him to, be some comic relief in the fact of, like, he throws the insults around and he makes sarcastic comments that make you chuckle, but he's got some depth, he's got some real struggles, he's got some real pain in his life that he's working through that is the cause of that. So there's a lot of that, the loss of his wife and son and of his people, and the bitterness that's built in him, that as he gets to know Lonnie and Doug, as he hangs out with them more and begins to consider them a family, the family that he hasn't had for 10 years, that bitterness starts to crack and starts to dissolve, and he starts to realize that that's not the way to live, and that he wants to be better than he is. And I just really, really appreciate that kind of character. And I wasn't planning on that from the start, but I really am pleased to see that kind of growth in him. And he tends to be people's favorite character from the people I've talked to that have read the books, and that's not surprising. And he's almost my favorite character, although I do like every single one of my characters. So a little bit shorter video today. That was Ar-Chitak, and once again, I'll link all the videos in the description. If you would like to buy the books, they are available on Amazon. Galactic Core, books 1, 2, and 3. Book 4 is being written right now. If you'd like to drop me a line, you can contact me on Facebook, Luke and Rose Barnett. You can email me at authorlifewithluke.t.barnett@gmail.com. I am on Twitter at BarToday and on Instagram at BarToday, although not on those much. Trying to do Instagram more. You can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.Luke.T.Barnett. And I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line. Tell me what you think about these videos. You can leave a comment in the comments. Leave a comment in the comments. Makes sense. And just tell me what you like, what you'd like to see more of. I will get into the Akati, Arch's race, more in another video. And other than that, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.